This was a book about a whiny seamstress who sometimes eats delicious food. And today I'm here to rant about The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh, which had so many good ideas, but it just, So here's the thing about The Beautiful. It had a really cool idea. Which was bringing vampires and like vampire society into New Orleans in, when the fuck was this? I don't know, 1918 something. It was really fucking cool. And the vampires that this is all gonna be spoilery. Like, I can't. If you haven't read this, don't watch this video. The vampires had special abilities, and each of them had different ones, or so I think. I don't know, because the vampires and their vampirism barely shows up in this book. Like, this is not a vampire book. This is about a girl named Celine who moves from France to America after she accidentally kills a dude who tried to sexually assault her. So she moves into a convent, and she makes one friend. And all Celine does for this entire fucking book is call herself an evil murderess, even though she accidentally killed the dude. And the thing about this book is that it had so many things that I genuinely loved. I loved the dress descriptions. Celine is a seamstress, by the way, which, why are there so many seamstress books? What the frick? Didn't I just read one that I was complaining about? Yes. Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. And I like dress descriptions in books. I mean, hello, have you read Furyborn? Every time that Riel has to go and take on another one of the tasks, she gets a new outfit. It's gorgeous. It's exciting. I like it. But you have to pair dress descriptions with plot, and if you fail to do that, if there's more dresses than there are plot, your book sucks. There's a whole lot of dress description and not a whole lot of plot. But even more than dress description is just Celine thinking about things that are nonsense. Just constant nonsense. And most of it is her calling herself an evil murderess. We fucking get it. You accidentally murdered one dude. It's not that big a deal. You're already in the United States. Just forget about it. Move on with your life. Go eat some beignets. You're in New Orleans. And that's the thing. You're in New Orleans. There is so much fucking good descriptions of food in this book. And the way that Celine thinks about food is like, yes, girl, I am with you. At one point she's walking down the street and she's like, I wish I had like one coin to buy any of this fucking food that I'm smelling because it smells so good. And I feel that because I felt the same way when I was in New Orleans, except I was not out of money like Celine, so I did eat all the food and it was delicious. But you know what Celine does not do? Eat any of the fucking food most of the time, except one time I remember her talking about putting honey on a biscuit. That was the best scene in the book, was listening to her talk about putting honey on this food. I was like, that sounds good. Oh no, we have to get back to the boring plot. Then there's vampires. There's this not vampire named Bastien, whose uncle is a vampire, and they run the Court of Lions, who are apparently all vampires. Now, that's fucking cool. That takes a back seat to Celine talking about how she's an evil murderess. Also cool is the serial killer that gets POVs and is walking around and you don't know who it is and you just hear them talking about all these people they're gonna murder. So good, so creepy, so well written. I mean, Renee Ahdieh can fucking write. Like, she's really good at writing. Like, the way that she describes things is beautiful. And I've read her other books. I'm actually reading one right now. I'm reading the second book in her Wrath in the Dawn, and those are delight. I mean, just absolutely delightful. What happened here? So Celine spends all of her time thinking I'm an evil murderess, but also I'm super attracted to this dude Bastien. Bastien runs everything for his uncle, who's a vampire. And then I don't know what the fuck happened at the end. Like, they're all trying to stay away from this serial killer who gets all these POVs, and then the serial killer ends up being one of his friends. But then there's a different serial killer and it's Bastien's sister. I had to wait all the way till the end of the book for Bastien's awesome sister to reveal herself. The whole book should have been from her POV, and I wish she would have just killed Celine. It was shit listening to Celine the whole fucking time, other than her describing honey on a biscuit. I mean, My thoughts on Celine: you're an evil murderess. Okay, good. Either embrace it or shut the fuck up about it. She spends all this time being completely annoyed by Bastien and how privileged he is. And it's like, bitch, you have known him for 5 seconds. Why do you hate him so much? He's been nothing but nice to you. And then in like one of their first interactions, he's having a dude beat up for being a sexist dumbass. And she's like, you can't do that. And he walks up to her and says, I don't give a fuck. And she's like, oh, he talked to me like he would talk to a man. And I'm like, bitch, that's not feminism. What the fuck is wrong with you? She was just annoyed with him for having somebody beat up, and then now she's like, oh, I kind of like that he's told me that he doesn't give a fuck. Like, I don't understand you. Go back to the food. She's constantly afraid of getting in trouble, but then is always running straight for the trouble. Like, she's like, ding, 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 where's the trouble? Oh, there it is. Let me run right fucking in the middle of it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then she gets mad at her only friend for doing the exact thing. The exact same thing. The hypocrisy of Celine. Just go back to the Honey and Biscuits. Like, there's somebody out there murdering women, right? And she's just like, I think I'll just walk home by myself in the dark. Bitch, why? Why? Take somebody with you. She literally said, and I wrote this down, she's walking home and then she like hears footsteps behind her and she's like, oh no, oh wait, people walk all the time, it's fine. And then she's like, still she couldn't help but think of the night that her naivety betrayed her, talking about the guy who sexually assaulted her. And I'm like, bitch, that's not naivety. That's your common sense talking. Go, run, you need to run now. And then she literally gets mad at her friend, her only friend, Pippa, for having, quote, no sense of self-preservation. Bitch, you made Pippa run towards danger to go tell Bastien and his friend not to beat some dude up. You ran into an alley with 3 strange men who were in a fight with Pippa. She has no sense of self-preservation? I can't with you. What is wrong? What is wrong with you? She's probably the most unremarkable person of all time. Like, there was nothing to her. And yet Bastien is like, girl. Also not because I'm too good for you. What a bummer. And then they're like, but let's make out though? And then they're like about to do it and there's like a severed head on the ground. That got crazy. And I'm at the last part of this book and it's just starting to get good. And then there's more of Celine whining about danger. It's like, bitch, you run right for it. I don't understand you. Honestly, I just wish the entire book had been written from the perspective of Bastien and Bastien's sister, but we don't find out that it's Bastien's sister until the end. I just wish that had been a thing because that would have been more interesting. Because I want to know more about the Court of the Lions. I want to hear more about New Orleans food, which is fucking delicious. I want to hear more about literally anybody else but Celine. This was not a bad book, it just had a bad main character. And I think the same thing about the Grisha trilogy. It's not bad books, it's just that they revolve around one person who I can't fucking stand. Listen, I whine all the time to myself. I have to listen to me all the time. I don't want to take on another bitch's whining. This needed, there was not a single instance that I can remember of a vampire doing vampire shit. I mean, there was like one? Yeah, I think. And then finally, like at the end, Celine's like stabbing the bad guy in the neck and it's like, yes, this finally got bloody. Oh, we're at the end of the book. If I had to listen to her talk about how she's an evil murderess for 30 more seconds, I would have lost my shit. I mean, I'm already like yelling about this book, so. It could have been a really good book. I'm almost intrigued enough to do the next book, but then I would have to probably listen to her talk about how she's an evil murderess for murdering the serial killer. It's like, bitch, you want to talk about self-preservation? That was self-preservation again. This is not murder, it's self-defense. I don't understand you. So if you're an author, please don't make your main characters shitty. Please make them interesting. Please don't put me in their head and listen to them have the same thought over and over and over again. I can't. Like Alina with Mal and how she's like, oh, I kind of want the Darkling, but I kind of want Mal, but I kind of want the Darkling, but I kind of want Mal. I don't care. And I don't care about Celine being a murderess. You killed a dude. It's fine. Let's move on. I'm getting sick of hearing myself talking about this. Okay, those are my rambly thoughts on The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. It wasn't a bad book. It just had a real shit main character, and I kind of wish she died at the end. I really wish she died at the end. Oh, and then Bastian became a vampire, but everybody was so upset about it. Like, bitch, you're vampires. Why? This is what we do. No. It just, I don't understand. This was not a vampire book. This was a book about a whiny seamstress who sometimes eats delicious food. That's it. Okay, those are my thoughts. If you like The Beautiful, I'm sorry that I just shat all over it. If you don't like The Beautiful, please leave your comments down below. That's all I have for you. See you next time. Bye!